Today I'm going to show you how to cite a source and how to summarize information. The reason why you cite a source and why you need to do it is because you need to be able to show people what you have said and what other people are saying, which will make it a lot easier to understand for people. Knowing what kind of source you have used also gives information to the people who are listening to you or who are reading what you have written. And how you do it depends on the circumstances. If you're at university and you're writing an essay there, you will probably be asked to use footnotes. But if you're writing an article, a letter to the editor, for instance, for a magazine, then you will give the sources in the text. Also, citing a source is a way of giving someone else credit for their work instead of passing it off as your own, which is very important academically. Here is an example. In a news article from Swedish tabloid Aftonbladet, February 12, 2013, Stefan Ahlfeldt and Johan Flink reports that football player Mikael Bernas has been, and so on. The news article tells us what kind of text it is that we have used, and I have also turned this into a link. It's expected, if you write digitally, which most people do nowadays, to make a link so that the reader can easily find the information. And also here, Swedish tabloid, that tells us what kind of paper you have used. Tabloid means kvällstidning in English. We have the name of the paper, the date when it was published, and the names of the authors. All important information. Here is a different kind of source. The article Driving Under the Influence on English Wikipedia informs us that, and so on. We have the exact name of the article on Wikipedia and a link to it. Now, Wikipedia is so famous that you really don't need to inform people what it is. But most of the time you will have to do this. And if people didn't know what Wikipedia was, you could say, for example, on English Web Encyclopedia, Wikipedia, we can read that, and so on. And a last example. On the program Morning Debate from Northern Irish TV channel UTV, May the 14th, 2013, invited guests discussed whether the age of consent for the UK should be lowered. And here I've actually forgotten to put a link in. I should have put one right here, Morning Debate. We get the name of the program, the TV channel, and the date. And here we have our link. Now, when you cite your source in oral presentations, when people are listening to you instead, it also depends on the situation how you do. But the general rule is that when we listen, we can't handle as much detailed information as we can when we read. So the information you give can't be as detailed. But you should always add the detailed information of your sources in writing. For example, if you have a PowerPoint, you could put the sources at the end of your PowerPoint, or in the task that you have now, I want you to give me the link. You can put it in your English folders, for instance, so that I can easily find the information. For instance, if I were to use this article again as my source, but I was going to cite the source orally, I would probably say something like this. Earlier this year, Swedish tabloid Aftonbladet reported that Mikael Bernas, and so on. And as you heard, I did not give the exact date. For example, I said instead earlier this year, which is easier to follow when you listen. I didn't give the names of the authors because you would forget them anyway, because we can't remember that much. But I said a news article from Swedish tabloid Aftonbladet, because that's something we can process when we listen. And it's too important to leave out. The Wikipedia source, I think, is short enough so that it would work in an oral situation. But the other one, the third one that we used, and I would probably say something like this. A few weeks ago, I watched a debate program on Irish TV channel UTV, and the guests discussed whether the age of consent for the UK should be lowered. So, as you can see, when you cite sources orally, you can't be as detailed as when you do it in writing. But nevertheless, the sources should be added with full information some other place so that the listeners can have access to them. When you summarize, the purpose of summarizing something is to give an overview. And the summary usually starts out with the source. So always start out with giving the source. For instance, one of the three articles and TV shows and stuff that we've been talking about here. And then you say what the article, for instance, was about. Now, if I, for instance, if I was to summarize the movie Hunger Games for you, I will use the questions here: where, when, who, and what. And a summary should always contain that information. So I'll start out with the source, okay? And this is in, I'm doing it orally. In the movie Hunger Games from 2012, which was based on the book by Suzanne Collins, we get to meet Katniss Everdeen, who is a girl who lives in the far-off future in the United States. She lives in one of 12 districts, which is ruled by a superior district. And every year, the districts have to send children, 2 children each, to the capital district to take part in a reality TV show where they basically have to kill each other to survive. And the last surviving contestant is the winner of this reality TV show, which is called, of course, The Hunger Games. This was an oral summary of the TV, of the film, I'm sorry, and it said where it took place in the United States. I also said when it took place in the far-off future. I also said who it was about. It was about Katniss Everdeen. And I briefly said what it was about, the 12 districts and the reality TV show and so on. So these are the ground rules for what you are doing later this week. I hope this has been a help to you. And if it hasn't, try to ask questions based on the information that I have given here. Thank you. Goodbye.